Good evening. It is Wednesday, July 17th at approximately 5:02 p.m. and this meeting has now been called to order. It is our executive committee meeting. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
We do, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. First up for discussion, wait, let me do a housekeeping item. We are going to include the MOU update on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, can I say something? That's not on the agenda.
I know.
We can talk about it under new business, though, can't we?
Well, generally, you don't use new business to really discuss matters that are not on the agenda. You could use new business to talk about something you would like to see in the agenda in the future, but it's not a placeholder just to.
So how can I add that item to the agenda?
I would think if we are discussing what has happened on the MOU since the last discussion, that would be
New business.
new business.
I think so.
New business is not used for the board to use to deliberate and discuss a matter that's not on the agenda. Because if that's the case, there will not be a need for an agenda. You can just put new business on something you discussed way back. Let me just say this, I think the attorney can provide an update, your attorney, but really if you're gonna deliberate and discuss that, it really should have been on the agenda. Because the public has to know what you're gonna be discussing.
That's right. You're right, and it was a mistake. And so if mistakes happen, what do you do in that case? So if we need to discuss the MOU, how do we remedy that?
What you need to do is to put it on the agenda for Monday's meeting. It's not on this agenda for this board for you, the executive committee, to discuss the MOU. Again, the public has to be informed of what you're going to be discussing and deliberating upon. If it's not on the agenda, you put it on a future meeting agenda. It could be put on Monday's meeting, and the whole board can discuss that. Mm-hmm. But you should not really deliberate upon the MOU because it's not on this agenda.
Question.
What?
I've got one too.
Okay.
I have a question, too.
Couldn't you amend the agenda due to the fact that you do have a recording here in the public?
You can amend an agenda during a meeting to discuss matters that are not on the agenda and deliberate upon matters that are not on the agenda. The whole purpose of the open meetings law is so the public knows what the board is going to be discussing, and it's not on the agenda. So what I can say is that the attorney can just give you an update, but if you want to deliberate upon and discuss this matter, it should really be on a noticed meeting, on the agenda of a meeting.
Thank you, Attorney Eke. I think I said MOU update. I did not say we were going to deliberate. So we can add that to the agenda, correct?
The attorney can provide an update, and that really should be the end of it.
I think the discussion, if you wanted, it is about outside counsel. He is our outside independent counsel. That's where the MOU discussion would be discussed. And I think that it is on the agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And so I think we all agree that we can have an MOU update.
Let me ask you one question. Mm-hmm. Are we looking to decide anything or just discuss?
No, there's nothing to decide.
I agree then. Council all the time, which is also subject to the Open Meetings Act, takes up things that aren't on the agenda.
I saw it earlier today when I was watching a council meeting.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm comfortable with that. To the extent anybody cares about my opinion.
There's an item on the agenda that says outside counsel. Is that what this is about? Is that where you'll be providing an update?
That would be a great place to provide an update, yeah. Thank you.
Put a subhead right there.
Or we could provide the update in new business announcements. We could announce.
Or we can just amend the agenda and put MOU update. And that's what I just said before we got into this discussion. And so we're going to add to the agenda the MOU update.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that there will be no deliberations.
So the first item is board seat vacancy. I think we all received notice that Attorney Mary Beard resigned from the board. She stated that she was very busy. I know that I've seen her accomplishments on LinkedIn. I don't know if I can say that on record, but she has been doing a lot in her professional career. So it is my understanding that we accepted her resignation, and so now we have a board seat vacancy. And so I wanted to discuss how we go about filling that board seat vacancy, because we know the new law says that that is up, totally to the mayor's discretion, and he's the one who appoints board members to the board for the Community Review Board. And so how we do that, we've been talking about for quite some time, and really around the thought that the community still can have input into who is nominated for the board seat. So the community's voice can still be present, throughout that process. But also, I want us to really think about it in terms of diversity. And so that is diversity in gender, race, religion. And so I think the more diversity we have on this board, the better we will be. And so that is my opinion on it. And I'd like to know how you all feel about this board seat and how the new law affects how members are chosen.
I'll speak. I think diversity is important. I think reflecting the demographics of the community served is important. I think the groups that are most interested in the work this board is doing and their sentiments are important. I'm not sure how we go about soliciting that or make a recommendation to mayor or encouraging other folks to make a recommendation to mayor or council. I don't know what the best process is. I'm not politically astute enough to know that.
I guess my question would be, I guess it would be posed to the mayor's office, which I did send them notification. I guess it would be, do we start working on Mary Beard's seat now, presently? Because we would have a deficit. I mean, she was going to roll off in October. But I mean, of course, I would like a board membership to be as quick as possible. But I mean, she would still have to go through the nomination process and all that, and that could take at least a month or more. So we probably need to get this information out to the public as quickly as possible, so that if there are nominations coming from the community, that we would get those in, and then maybe we could have that. I'm trying to figure out how to rectify, like, we have that seat filled with a person that would then also, I guess, continue on in her absence, when she rolls off. I don't know how it's going to work. Or do we just not have someone for 3 months?
So you're saying an immediate fill? Right? Yeah,
like if we got an immediate fill, that person technically could still take her seat, because it is her seat regardless. It would be that they would come on before she, her roll-off time is in October, which means that they still wouldn't probably fill the seat until the end of November, maybe?
Something like that.
Or December?
And
I don't know.
Well, here's another question. Council takes off for the whole month of September. Is that right? Or is it
I think it's September.
August? Do you know, Attorney Eke?
I don't think they do. They usually do that during the Metro general elections that occur every 4 years. The September of those odd years.
Okay.
When there's a new mayor and there's a new council.
Okay. And that was last year?
Yes. But other than that, they continue.
Okay. I just remember that happening last year. Okay, so what do you all...
I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it would just be it would just be 6 people, which if you had, I don't know, who's the tiebreaker, Drew? If there's a board issue.
The motion fails, whatever motion
Okay.
fails, and the community fails,
Oh, sorry.
My understanding is that there's.
Turn it on, Drew. It didn't turn on. Okay.
Okay, it's on now.
All right. This is the 48th time I've had trouble with this, just so we know. My understanding is that there's a motion and a 3-3 vote, the motion fails. That doesn't mean it can't be brought back up again next meeting, should somebody else show up, whatever, but I think that's right. Is that your understanding? Is that okay?
Yes, if there are 6 people present, yes, then you need 4 votes for a motion to pass.
I don't know which book y'all looking at, the raw rules of order, but the regular board member had be the right to vote, and the chair is not to vote unless there's a tie. You know, you got 5 people, so you still should be able to come out with a 3-2 or 4-1 vote without the chairperson voting.
I don't believe that's Robert's rules, or at least for our board.
Yeah, for
But
this.
I confess I don't know.
Yeah, the law says that a majority of those forming a quorum is required for any action of the board. So essentially, quorum is 5. 4 members constitute a quorum. So a majority of those present at the meeting would be required for any motion to pass. So if there are 6 people, you need 4. If there are 5 people present, you need 3. So.
But to Walter's point, our practice has been the chair always votes.
Right.
Yeah, everyone votes.
Okay, let's
Every board member.
okay, let's look at this also while we're doing it. If we're looking to fill a position, do we have another person will be roll off in October?
My term's up in October.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we look for one person, we need to be looking for 2 people.
Well, that's fair.
So we let the mayor or the council know that we'll be needing 2 people, at least by October. You see what I'm saying? Unless
I think that's right, but instead of shooting me dead right now, you're not going to say maybe needing 2 people.
I mean, we need to be prepared.
That's right.
You're going to need 2 people regardless.
Right.
Right, and so I think that will probably need some additional discussion. Director Fisher with the mayor's office, possibly Director Kathy Buggs. Yep, so we can get some clarity on what that looks like.
Right, I was just thinking, if the person, so I'll talk to Kathy about it. I was just concerned that if we try to do this really quickly, then, and then like, is that person just serving as an interim, or is that person going to continue in the seat of Ms. Beard? So that's what I was trying to get some clarity on. But
Okay, and if that's allowable, and
Right.
I would think that we would want all the seats filled, even if it's an interim, and then in October when her seat is up, right, we now have 1, 2, however many we have that we need to fill.
And if an interim has to go through any process, it might be, like, for instance, if it was a previous board member, would they be able to just come on? I don't know those, I don't know those.
Yep, that's why we have to ask.
Yeah.
So we'll ask those questions and then report back to
Okay.
everyone. Okay, so that is the board seat vacancy. Next is community engagement. I put this on here because I wanted all of us to be on the same page. Our staff is going out a lot more now. They have been, I think, how many times do they go out a week, Director Fitchard?
We were going out twice a week, and then they've been skipped. It's like every other week now,
Okay.
And they're going. Yeah, they go to different places.
Okay.
2 sets of compliance monitors. And
Right.
so, yeah.
And that's just during the daytime, but on the weekends and when there are special events, I would really like to implore our board members, especially the executive committee, to support our staff. If it's just going out and stopping by the table, saying hi, talking to community members, just telling them, what's going on, and from the board's perspective, because there's a lot of movement going on. I think tonight there is a candlelight, a memorial and a visual for Congressman John Lewis and
Reverend Lawson.
Reverend James Lawson. And so just putting that to the front of our mind, that if we have the time and the capacity to come out and support the staff members of the CRB, let's try to make an effort to do that.
And that visual is at the
Diane
courthouse.
Nash Plaza.
At the Diane Nash Plaza. And it starts at, I think, 6:30.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that was all on that. Okay, so our next item, unless anyone has any additional discussion. Okay. And, Director Fisher, so you all always do a good job at letting us know where you're going to be, but do you think we can have a regular email regarding community engagement events? So we'll know ahead of time.
Did you receive the calendar okay, so we have a calendar. I think we sent it to maybe Joe asked for it or
Okay,
something, but we
okay.
have one with all the events on there. And so I can just forward all. D'Amica's here, but she can tell you more about it. But for the month of July, she's still putting stuff in, but we have
A calendar.
a calendar.
Okay, that's good.
I think it goes up for 3 months, something like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can plan accordingly.
Sure.
Number 3, the third item is outside counsel conflict check. And so Director Fitchard and I met with the mayor on Friday, this past Friday, and we were given a proposal for a dedicated attorney for the CRB. Okay, I'm just waiting. And so it was introduced to us, proposed terms and the process on what that would look like. And so it was a very productive meeting. It was a good meeting. And I think where we left, how we left the meeting was that we would circle back around and talk about some of the items that were listed on the proposal. Okay, and so before we start talking about what those items are, Director Fisher, do you want to lend your opinion of the meeting and just any comments?
Yeah, sure. I thought the meeting went really well. I appreciated meeting with the mayor and his chief of staff regarding the things that we had talked to him about previously over the last few weeks. Some of the community concerns and our concerns as well in regards to getting records and being able to do this work because we, of course, as we're getting the records in slowly, we have cases that have been waiting for a long period of time. And so I think what we talked about in that meeting, he was super receptive to it, which I thought was really helpful. We did have some things that we had to still work through.
That's right.
But yeah, I thought the meeting was a really good positive step for us and for his administration in how we can remedy some of the issues that we have with obtaining records and outside counsel.
I agree. And I mean, it really kind of solidified, the best steps forward. They may need a little massaging, but going about them in a more proactive way, understanding that if you agree or disagree that there is a conflict between CRB, Metro Legal, and MEMPD, and being represented by the same, attorney and staff. So I think that has been understood, and it has been received by the mayor and his staff and the Metro Law Department. Go ahead.
And acknowledged.
Yes.
Yes.
The article in the Nashville Banner this morning seemed to read that they had made a proposal. Have we gotten a specific proposal?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, can that be sent to board members?
I think so.
Okay.
Do you think so? Until we or wait until we get it completed.
It's
What
a public record.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem sharing.
yeah.
That's fine. I was just thinking
But-
any discussion on Monday would be nice.
Yeah,
We
I
knew what
think
the
so.
proposal was. Okay.
And then, but also just knowing that the proposal, as it stands, is still being discussed, right? It's still being worked through.
It wasn't a mandate, it was here's a
Proposal,
proposal.
right? And so we didn't agree. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
we didn't agree
That
to
was-
anything. We just met and talked about it.
That's how I read the
Mm-hmm.
article, but thank you.
How can the mayor fix something? He got to have an understanding what's going on both sides. And by us having a dialogue with him, he can see clearly in the eyes that we see. At the same time, he see with the police department. So he's just like a mediator. How can I bring these two together? How can I help solve or help serve the people of the community? And it's a great thing that we are communicating. And if you don't communicate, how can we understand what's going on if we don't let people understand what we see that we need and what we need to complete our investigation? And I think that it's a little rough in the beginning, but I think we'll be all right.
Thank you, Member Holloway. I agree with your comments wholeheartedly. Any additional comments? It is. And I think, being contacted by the mayor and him being willing to meet with us, as well as Director Dietz reaching out earlier this week to get the conversation started, that was also a positive sign and a step in the right direction. And so I would like for you all to see this document before I just outline it, going through 1 through 6. And so we'll make sure that you get it. And then, but also receive it with comments, at least the comments that I've already made. That is allowable, right? Okay. Any questions regarding that? Director Fisher?
I did want to add that although we received this, we also gave the mayor some suggestions
Yes.
for the improvement of this document. And so whatever you received, that part hasn't been added yet.
And it was about 3 or 4 items. And so, like I said, this is not the finished product, but in terms of how the meeting went, it was a pretty good meeting. And so I think once you see it, you may recognize some of the items that we talked about, and we'll be able to move on from there. It would be great. All right. An update on our independent investigation. Well, the conflict was that, I put outside counsel, and it was really pertaining to this
The conflict
proposal.
we talked about before.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
No, the MOU has its own.
Oh, it does.
I didn't know if we had a outside legal.
Oh, no,
You answered
no,
my question.
no.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
So the independent investigation update, it is, Director Fisher, do you have anything other than what we talked about?
Nothing new. that I've received in regard to that, but we you know, want to talk about the meeting that we had. So we met with Butler Snow, the attorneys that are working on the whistleblower complaint. And that was last week, Monday. Was it last week? Sorry, my dates are all running together. But I mean, of course, you know, they are very professional and are not going to give us a lot of information, but was assuring us that they were handling it and meeting with individuals and working on their investigation.
Right.
They couldn't give us a timeline specifically. I'm assuming it is a lot of work. It's a huge complaint, and then breaking it up into parts. You know, I can't even guess what a timeline would look like. And they weren't willing to give us one either, which is fine.
Right.
But they were pretty much assuring us that they were working, and they were actually, when we called them, surprisingly, they were in town. So I wasn't expecting that. And so they were willing to meet with us, have been very forthcoming with as much as they could be. And yeah, I think it's going well. I did have some communication with officers, and they wanted to just know if there was anything that we could tell them, and there was nothing much that I could tell them.
That's right.
But, you know, I will say that they are concerned about, you know, how long the investigation will take and if there's any information. But yeah.
So to kind of build on what Director Fitchard, what she explained, how the meeting went, and it was right before 4th of July. Now I remember. So it was before the holiday. Yes, it was. And so we had a good meeting. Yes, it was the 3rd. And so, of course, they would not, you know, give us any information about the investigation. But we did want to meet with them because, you know, I had a question of have they had any kind of issues with interviews or asking or issues with gaining information. And so I was told that there has not been any issues. And so that was great. But then also I had a question regarding, you know, high profile cases like these. What do they typically see? And so, you know, it could be an array of, thank you. Okay. An array of, you know, areas that this investigation review can go, right? And so one of it, you know, we talked about receiving additional complaints and what does that look like? And, you know, I think we talked a little bit about it before, where their scope is only the 61-page complaint. That is it, right? They have no jurisdiction over any other complaints unless it overlaps with something that's in the 61-page complaint. And then they could explore it. But what I wanted us to discuss and what I want to ask is for the investigation to be expanded. And so that means additional complaints that we are receiving, they have an opportunity to look at them, you know, as individual complaints and not if they simply overlap. And I want to know you all's thoughts on that as well.
Investigation. How do you start the investigation? What do you look at? A good thing would be start from the beginning. Where did the law, who spearheaded the law? Mm-hmm. Where did this person come from? Did he come from Franklin? Mm. Who helped campaign for him? Who gave him money towards his campaign? Mm-hmm. If you give money towards a person's campaign, sometime or another you might realize, hey, I need a favor. I need you to do something. Mm-hmm. Interpreting this law, the person that spearheaded this law apparently had knowledge from someone that had knowledge about the police department that helped to help write this law. because how they gonna know how the police operate, the policy and procedure, unless they had some direct knowledge from someone who actually on the inside. So to do an investigation, let's start at the beginning. How it all got started, how the law got started, who submitted this, who spearheaded this. You know, it'd be nice, it'd be interesting. If I was investigating, let's put it this way, if I was investigating, that's where I would start at.
That's right.
And see what I could pick up from there. And it's definitely was written to kind of hold our feet to the fire where it would limit us the power to complete an investigation or look further to things that we're not allowed to see. And definitely, if we're going to investigate something, we want to make sure that we are very positive about it. We want to make sure everything is in place of where we can look at nothing that's been blindsided. I saw a case on TV where it was dismissed because the district attorney did not turn over the evidence, some evidence on the case. So we want to make sure that when we do an investigation and do it the best of our ability, help the citizen, because a lot of times the citizen don't have the finance to defend themselves. And everyone has the right to have due process, have the right to be represented properly.
That's right. I agree. Thank you, Member Holloway.
My first question is what legally can Metro, legal or we, refer to? I mean, those two different questions. Refer to the independent counsel. And I'm not sure if there's overlap. I fully understand it. Beyond that, I think it's a whole new process for each complaint, looking at it and see how it fits. And I think if we don't do that, I think there's a risk that the legislature takes another swing at us in January to start with. But I think if we start down that road, that risk comes close to 100%. That's not whether we do it or don't, but that's recognizing the potential consequences. But the real question is, I don't know what we can legally do, and I'd like to know that before
I
making
would
any
too.
decision.
And so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because we, if we're being contacted by additional MMPD employees, then there has to be some sort of recourse. And so these are not citizen complaints. In a way they are, because it doesn't matter who you work for, you're a citizen, but they are employed by some system of the police department. And so if that is the case, then and there's an active investigation going on, then why wouldn't we be able to forward those requests, as we did with the second one, to the attorneys that are doing an independent investigation? And so I just don't know what that looks like. And I really, other than what we were told by Butler Snow and the process that they gave us, then that's the only process that I know of regarding the complaints that they received.
And is that process, if we send them one, they will determine whether there's overlap?
Correct.
Take it a bit, and if not, tell us there isn't enough overlap?
That's right.
Okay.
And so, so what if there isn't enough overlap and that complaint has to stand on its own? Then what do they do with it? Does it just sit on their desk, or can they have permission to, or be allowed to investigate that complaint?
And I like to say, I'm not really sure what their investigative methodology is, so I don't know if they're just going to, first they're going to start with the complaint that they're tasked to do. And then I think, this is just me, that anything else would be secondary to that at this point. And then determine whether there's overlap. Yeah. So, I don't think that they're trying, at the same time, determining that right away. They could be, though. They could be trying to review it and determine if it's a pattern. I don't know, though. I don't know what it looks like, and they didn't really explain that to us.
Well, so that's a point, right? But they told us how the investigation will go, like the process of the investigation. But in asking for this expansion, what does that look like for if it does not overlap? And it could be other entities, of the police department. How do we handle those? And I think this kind of goes back to the whistleblower conversation, and then what do we do in terms of MNPD employees that feel like there's been issues of misconduct, and we have to avoid, I know there's a law about retaliation, but we have to avoid that at all costs. And so that has to be, they have to have a recourse for that. And I think we need to really sit down and discuss that.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, I need to get with the council member who's working on that whistleblower policy that I gave to them, because I think that they want to create a whistleblower policy that's that expands just the police department. It's just, like from Metro wide, and what that, and the protections for people in general. So I don't know if I haven't talked about that with anyone since we, forwarded on to them. So.
And so since we already have received complaints and have and we're asked to send that second complaint to the investigative body, Butler Snow, then I think we probably need to, instead of being reactive, we'll be more proactive in how we handle these.
I'm sorry, you said we were asked to send it. Who asked us? Did Butler Snow ask for it?
They said that they could receive it. Yeah. So we'll pick this back up at the regular board meeting, but please know that the expansion of the investigation status will be a continuing conversation until we figure that out.
Can I say? Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead. Last, have we heard back from any that we've sent so far from Butler Snow, whether they overlap?
No, we have not
Okay,
heard anything
again, I
back
thought
from
not, just to be
them.
clear. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Go ahead. Ms.
I know I've repeated this several times, but I just want to say it again, and that's really all I can say, is what the law says, which is that these complaints need to be forwarded to OPA, and that's what the state law says, and that's really all I can say.
Thank you, Attorney Eke. Let me ask you a question. We have been unable to get records from MNPD, and we're not getting complete case files. Do you know if anyone in Metro Legal has spoken to them about us receiving that information?
I can't comment on that. I don't know.
According to the
I
law?
don't know the details of any discussions pertaining to records, per
Okay.
se.
Could you?
But my understanding is that you are in negotiations with MNPD with regards to an MOU that will address those issues.
Well, the MOU will address them, but the law states that we would receive a case file. And so I'm just talking about everybody abiding to the law. And if you can find out for me and us, if Metro Legal has instructed from their side, their client, MNPD, to send us the entire case file, because I think that can happen immediately.
Well, I think the law addresses the provision of information that's not confidential. So my understanding is that information that's confidential needs to be redacted. Now, I don't know about specific requests that have been made and where they are, but if a case file contains confidential information, that information will need to be redacted. So that's all I can say on
What
that.
about information that's not confidential and we haven't received that? I mean, the law states that we're supposed to receive, once the case is closed, what the law reads, and I'm sure you're very well versed on it, it says that once the case is closed, that we should be able to receive the case file, the investigative summary, and the investigative file. That's what it says in the, pretty much in the beginning portion of the law. Can you comment on that or help us in that regard?
Again, what I can say is if you've made requests of documents. I don't know the status of those requests, but that is information that you're working through with MMPD. And I think that's a separate issue from what I'm advising you with regards to complaints. I don't want to mix up these issues.
I'm only
because
mixing up the
I think
issue
it's,
because
I'm not-
we have been told time and time again what the law states, but we have not received entire case files from MNPD. And so my grandmother used to say, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And if we're only being admonished for what we're doing, and MNPD can send us half of a case or just a summary, we shouldn't even have to send requests for documents because an entire case file should be sent with it. So I wonder if you could find out that information from us, from maybe Attorney Gross, if they've been instructed to send the CRB the entire case file pertaining to the law.
I'll relay your information. I advise this board, and I'll relay your request.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments? Oh. Nope. Give me 1 second. Director Fisher, do we have any information for the sexual misconduct report? Any update?
Yes. So I appreciate our new employee and, of course, Dylan DePriest. So Ansley Potter has really taken the lead on that, and she's probably still working. Tell her to go home. But she's been working really diligently on the report. It looks really great. And she is, super committed to this process and this report. I appreciate her energy around this report and the research that she's doing. Dylan's been gone for a few days on vacation, and she's just been typing away. I think that there's a public forum, and it's happening on August the 5th.
Okay.
And so we will send out that information, letters, and invitations to, to the groups that we've identified. And that's going to be at East Park. We've been trying to get locations, but school's coming back in. People are having a lot of back to school bashes. And so we ended up at East Park, which seems to love us when we have these policy advisory reports.
There.
And so, and it's good parking. So that was another place. And so it's easily accessible too. And so she's working on the letter. It goes out to the different community organizations.
Okay.
I think she's identified maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
And then they should have a draft. And that would be sent out.
Okay.
And so what she's done is went back and streamlined it some. We did talk. We had a pretty robust discussion regarding the introduction to it. I think the introduction, and some of it is, I take some of the blame on it, because as we start talking, I'm like, oh, add this, or what about this topic? And so it just started kind of getting really large, and we wanted to bring it back to the factual things that, and really what's pertaining to Nashville,
Right.
instead of all of the national information.
Right.
And I think that we're in a good spot now for that.
And it will be a policy that could be easily
Yes, adopted.
adopted by the MNPD.
That's correct.
Okay, great. So will we have a copy of that on Monday?
I don't know if they'll have it ready for you on Monday. Maybe. I hope so. I mean, Dylan's not here. And so, I don't know. I'm assuming that we'll get it before the weekend. But of course, it's still in draft form.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
So I think we discussed that last
meeting. I think she's been working diligently on it to have it ready, but I just
Okay.
didn't talk to her today about it. So,
Okay.
But I'm assuming that we will have it to you before the weekend.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So we can,
But you're going to have a revised draft for the public forum, if I'm understanding right. Is that correct?
Yes, well,
Perfect,
you guys
okay.
have an
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
to review it and all that before the public forum.
And
Absolutely.
what you said about the intro, I really liked. Thank you for that.
Yeah, the intro was blowing up. So
yeah, I think,
yeah.
I think
It's
the
hard to write
community,
it shorter. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of work.
I know. I think the community is really excited about having a sexual misconduct policy that can be easily implemented. We've heard from various members of the community, various community groups that want to see a best practice policy implemented on our police force. And I think this will be great. And I think we have a lot of people who are eager to see it, and I'm one of them. So
I'm excited about it.
I
I think
am
it's a
too.
really strong policy.
Yes.
It is a best practice policy with people who are weighing in, like the In Violence Against Women International, the International Association of Chiefs of Police. There's some other members that help write some policies for other cities with consent decrees
Okay.
who are willing and looking forward to helping us with this policy or giving us their feedback on it. So, yeah, it's
Okay.
an exciting time for that, and I think the policy is going to do what it's supposed to do in our city.
Okay,
So,
great,
yeah.
great. And I hope we have, organizations at the table, especially at the August 5th
Yes.
public forum, that could really lend their opinion, who does this work on a daily basis and works with victims
Yes.
of sexual violence, and really talking about how we can make this the best policy that it can be for Nashville.
Yes, yes.
So that would do us well.
Yep, I'm looking forward to their feedback.
Any other comments? Okay. All right. The next on the agenda is the Nashville Community Review Board employment update.
Yes, so we have a couple things. The first one is Daniel Yoon left our office after maybe 3 years of employment and moved over to the Metro Human Relations Commission, where he is the director of compliance. I think that's what they're calling him. So he'll be doing EEOC complaints for the Metro Human Relations Commission. And so so now we have 2 compliance monitor positions open. We have sent that information over. We had to keep working on the
job announcement.
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yes,
The job
so
announcement.
we were revising the job announcement a little bit because our first announcement that was sent to HR, they just let us know that once we make this announcement, there would be it would be limitations for us to change it in the future. So we just wanted to make sure that we give ourselves the opportunity of getting the best candidate and making sure that a variety of people had opportunity to apply for the job. So we revised the announcement, and I think Director Fitcher and I are excited about it, and we sent it into HR. So hopefully the compliance monitor position will be posted by the end of this week or beginning of next week, and for us to start retaining 2 new employees for those vacancies.
And I just want to put out there that if anyone knows some great investigators, not investigators, great compliance monitors.
Might have investigative skills.
Who, right. With previous investigative skills, I would highly recommend that you send them to the Community Review Board. This is a very exciting time for us as we shape what the NCRB will be, and you get to play a part in that. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone. Come and join the team. Frank has joined the team in some sorts, and so we can't get rid of him. And so I
We're
think,
going to hold on to Frank.
so I think we just want to make sure that people understand that we are a very welcoming place, and we really don't do well with mediocrity. So if you do your work in excellence, please call Director Fitcher.
And the other thing is, as we were trying to shape this compliance monitor, we are changing from an investigative unit
That's right.
to compliance and auditing. And so we had to make certain that we used the right language in there so that people that with those skills understood that it was, because most times an auditor might not look at that type of work when they're looking and searching for positions. So we wanted to make sure that we had words that would grab a host of skill sets from people.
That's right.
And so that's one. And then we also hired a new research analyst.
Okay.
And he will start August the 5th. So August the 5th, and he accepted the position. He will be a research analyst 1. And so we're excited about him coming on and joining our team.
Okay, good.
Yeah, exciting. It's some exciting times. And you have seen Kevin Welch, who works with us. If you've kept up with us on social media, you have seen some of his work, which has been excellent. And he continues to want to do more and keep the community engaged and wants to engage with them over the social media platform. So I'm excited about that.
I've seen a lot more of the staff members and faces within the office on these social media platforms, especially D'Amica, when she gave her, what do you call that? What? It was so cute.
It was
D'Amica.
a cute little spot, wasn't it? Thank you for
did
advertising so well for the NCRB.
But it was
good.
it's been livelier and more interactive, and that's a good thing. And so I'm glad Kevin is on board.
And then we have an assistant director starting on Monday.
Okay.
Kim Risby. She will start Monday, and so she will be at the meeting, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she has wanted to work with us, and we are very happy to have her come on board as the assistant director. So
Okay.
I need the help.
Right. And that's
Yes.
Dr. Kim Risby.
I'm sorry, that is Dr. Kim
Okay.
Burley Risby.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Great. Any comments?
You know, I never seen people leave as fast as they've been leaving from our department. You know, and definitely people have the right to increase their career and move forward. But gosh, these people are leaving before the door gets shut good. And to me, it seems like it's by design. People come back and recruiting people. It's just like a football team. You got a good receiver, say, what kind of money you making? I believe your contract in, you can play with me. You know, that's what it seemed like to me. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But as fast as we get somebody locked in, 6 months, a year, they gone somewhere else. And to me, it's like design. But we can't give up now. We got people, we got over 100,000 people we got to fight for.
That's right.
And doors going to be open for us, for sure.
I believe that. And also, I mean, we're not the only department that experiences that in Metro government. Some of it is finances, and you know that. I think that we pay our employees well, but you know, new opportunities come. One of the other things that I've learned from just what I heard from staff in other departments is, you know, we have what we call it takes 10 years to be vested in Metro as an employee. And so, I mean, 10 years is a long time for people to commit to become vested. We used to have a 5-year vesting. That was changed. I was under that. This will be my 16th year with Metro. And so, 5 years, we kept employees for 5 years, a lot. And then when that changed to 10, you know, it is a new workforce
Is
that
it
we have.
vesting for retirement?
Yes.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was changed under the Carl Dean administration. And it takes 10 years to be a vested employee. And so people don't stick around. They go to other places.
And I would also like to add, you know, we're going to call out the elephant in the room, that the Community Oversight Board had a trying year last year. And so, you know, with a lot of uncertainties. And so holding on to staff, we did that for dear life. But we also understood that the law was also meant to really break down and deconstruct the COB. And so what we're seeing is, I think, is a result of what that law did. It just wasn't about stripping us of our investigative powers, but it was also to cause a sense of unstableness in the office. And so I think, you know, especially last year, we saw a lot of angst and worry from our staff members. I just can't imagine what it feels like to know that you're going to get laid off, right? Even though you were assured that you'd be rehired, but that couldn't feel good at all. So I am just so happy that we still have the staff that we have, and then understanding that the CRB will probably have a new face, and we're shaping it in a new way. So that means that we probably will have to have new employees, and we get an opportunity to work with different people, and hopefully utilize each other's skills to the best of our ability. But Walter, I think remember Holloway, that's what I think it was like the law was designed to do, kind of break us down. I'm just saying that in response to your thoughts.
Question.
Turn your microphone on.
Something about for new investigators that does good work. What time frame do they have from the time they retired from the police department up to apply for the position?
That's in our bylaws.
That's in the state law.
Oh, okay.
Or
And
was
what
that
is
for
it?
the executive director only?
I think it was just for the.
Is it 5 years?
No.
No, that's no longer in there.
Right. And so I think what we amended in the bylaws was 1 year or 2 years.
I don't
Drew?
think that we put it in there. Did we?
I think we did.
I don't think so. I think
We took it out.
Well, I think it only talks about not being a current employee, not.
I thought we had said something about an unsworn and sworn and.
12 months.
Uh huh.
I remember that, but I don't think that that's what it wasn't in the law, but so.
No, it was just in it was in our bylaws. What does it say, Nikki?
Well, the current draft just says current sworn employees of any law enforcement agency. So it's talking about those currently employed. Let me see. I'm trying to find.
You haven't adopted the bylaws.
No.
Yeah, it hasn't been adopted, but I think there was discussion about the executive director and the limitations placed under the state law for the executive director, and the issue with the board trying to expand. So if trying to introduce limitations that are not there for the executive director, for example. Therefore making it more restrictive for employees, regular employees, than the executive director to be employed by this board. So
we'll have to go back to our bylaws because I couldn't pull them up. Yep.
The reason why I asked, I'm very familiar with officers from different parts of the United States, Canada, and Europe, and they have done investigation work 30, 40 years. I got a guy working for me now, just retired last year, and so I just inquiring about it, if.
Well, I know for a fact, Walter, you do not have to be, the 5-year limitation is not in there. Now, I thought I remembered something, differently, but we did talk about sworn officers and kind of, we switched that language around. But we'll be able to talk more about that, especially when we have bylaws to.
Yeah, I've ran across people that I've met over the years in different states that was on the board with me, and they moved into this smaller area where the tax is a little bit.
Right.
Well, it's cheaper here than where they came from, but it's not cheap for me. But they've been moving to Metropolitan, Lebanon,
Okay.
Nashville, so.
You may know some people.
I know what kind of work that they do.
Okay.
Whether they want to get back involved in investigation work, that's a different story. But I just talked to one Sunday, And I'm trying to recruit them permanent to work for me.
And
Okay.
the only positive thing in the new law was they dropped that requirement that they be registered, that employees be registered voters in Davidson County. So if somebody
Yes.
is moving in for the taxes and they're living in Wilson County, Rutherford County, whatever, interested in working, they can
So-
still do that.
Okay, so I found the bylaws, and it is the most recent copy according to my handwriting, and it has current sworn employees of any law enforcement agency, and then I do have here 12 months. And so that's the last change that I saw and that I have on the bylaws.
Okay, I don't have that on my copy. Yeah, I think that there was discussion that, my recollection anyway, is that there was discussion that under the state law, for the executive director, it says that the executive director not be a former employee of a law enforcement agency for the preceding 12 months. So I know there was discussion as to placing limitations that are more restrictive on other employees than the restriction that's in state law for the executive director. But my note doesn't reflect, what I have just talks about current sworn employees. I don't have a note about 12 months.
Yeah, so I do. And so we probably need to try to find our most recent copy and then discuss what that looks like. I know Joe had a strong opinion about that's bylaws. And so I know Joe, we had discussed would it be, we didn't want it to be 5 years anymore. And then I think we went down to 2 years, and then we may have settled on 12
I think we
months.
settled it on 12.
Yep.
The other thing is, I could do this under new business. Okay. Sean Witzel and I, Mr. Holloway was not available for the bylaws meeting, so we did meet, Sean Witzel and I guess since I didn't know that, does a task force, Attorney Eke, have to have a quorum?
No, the only subcommittees other than the board is the executive committee meeting. That's the only committee that needs a quorum.
Okay.
All the other subcommittees that make recommendations to the board, the bylaws, the current bylaws that you operate out of reflect that they don't have quorums. They don't need a quorum.
Okay, so then we had a meeting, and we did have some updates to the bylaws that, as we were reading over it, we were discussing, and we wanted to bring those forward to the board or at a bylaws meeting. And I was going to pass them on to Attorney Eke to look at. We had just 3 different things, but I wanted to make certain that everyone got it first and had a chance to weigh in.
Okay, yeah, if you could.
I'll
provide
forward it to you. I will.
So I can look at it.
Yeah.
I'll be out of the office till after tonight till Monday, but look at it as soon as.
Okay, I'll send it to you tomorrow, and you can look at it when you come back. It was just
Sounds good, thanks.
3 simple points, but I think that they change the, some things. Sean actually had one that he was like really like this changes, one of them, I think, I can just tell you one of them was, I think in the bylaws, it mentioned something about the executive committee, as it pertains to the staff and bringing information to the committee related to the termination or the disciplinary actions of a staff member in a executive meeting. So that was one that he was concerned about. And the other one was, it was 2 others, I can't remember. I just remember that one off the top of my head because I highlighted it.
Okay.
So, but I'll send it to you and you all can take a glance at them and see if you have any feedback on them.
Okay. That sounds good. Now, the MOU update. Turn your microphone on. Okay, it's on.
We're scheduled for a sit-down.
Okay.
myself and Drew, Wally Dietz, and Cynthia Gross, and that is on August 6th,
Okay.
where we will discuss, in addition to the issue that is being grouped with the MOU negotiation, but is somewhat separate, the past not, MNPD not complying with the current law as it's written.
That's right.
Wally's been made aware of that on June 14th. Materials were sent to Mr. Dietz. And then lately, Executive Director Fitchard supplied the final examples, and Member Goddard has a few more documents that we're going to send Wally and then Director Dietz, and then I feel everything will be in order for that August 5th meeting.
Okay.
On August 5th, we plan to get dates for the first round of negotiations, which hopefully will begin soon after we clear those first issues.
Is it the 5th or the 6th?
It's August 6th at 10:30 a.m. Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Yeah, I said the 5th. It's August 6th.
Okay.
If I may add, that's
Yes.
a meeting where we're going to discuss legal issues. First and foremost is records versus all records versus public records, how quickly we get them, all that. But there are a few other legal issues, and if we can get those straightened out, it will enable that first meeting to be a lot more productive. Otherwise, we're going to be going over a lot of that same stuff in that first meeting. We're trying to, that was the thought.
That's right. We're trying to split the legal issue that we briefed that's really the most important thing we face is the distinction between public records requests and requests from the CRB and also priority.
Right.
And if we can clear that issue, and we've not received a substantive response
Okay.
from Metro Legal, but they've been engaged in discussing dates to discuss it. So we plan to clear those issues August 6th.
Okay.
That'll lead to a really productive MOU negotiation, we hope.
Okay. Okay. I have a question. What in the law where it states that the executive director can receive confidential information, where does that come in?
Well, yeah, we can read the provision, but in the act, the executive director is entitled to receive the entire file, and it uses words designated confidential.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in our our argument is that the act has been misinterpreted,
Okay.
and that (312J2) the executive director must maintain the confidentiality of all law enforcement files and records that they receive as a result of the committee's duties. There are a number of provisions that contemplate the executive director getting confidential information.
Okay.
In the Act, 312H, 312J2, 312P, 5D, and this was all given to Metro Legal as an explanation of how we feel it should be construed that the ED can receive non-public records.
Right. Okay. Okay.
There is another provision that says the board
Turn the
can't
microphone
receive
on.
anything but public.
Okay.
There's another provision where it says the board can only receive public records.
The board.
Yes, the
And-
board.
And that raises a question of how you interpret that. And
Okay.
Metro Legal, I believe, Cindy Crocus, I'm not positive, had interpreted that we don't get any public records. And Frank and I was meeting with Wally when June, early June, raised that issue, said this was a real issue. He said he would look into it.
Okay.
He understood what we were talking about. He then asked for examples of the type of documents we would want, some examples of what the refusals have looked like, which to my mind indicates he's taking it seriously and preparing for that meeting we're scheduling.
Okay. And so,
Is that fair, Frank?
That is fair.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it is being taken seriously, and I look forward to clearing these issues so that we can actually get to negotiations.
And so, do you all think, in your opinion, until you sit down with Director Dietz and Attorney Gross on August 6th, that we probably still will not receive case files, incomplete case files and information that we've requested?
Well, I can speak to that just a little bit. I don't want to answer I don't want to predict whether or not or what we'll receive, but I did have a phone call with Director Dietz where I took it that it was on his radar, and that I hope that we do.
Okay.
receive.
Can I add something here? I do think that since these meetings and these talks have been going forward, we have received some of the requests. I don't know if they've just when you saw the email that had the dates on when we would get them, like they were
Yes.
out October or something, or November, I don't know. But we have been receiving them. I don't know if it's just that they are falling within the time frame that they initially, it's just now July, we were requested these in February, or that they're, sending them a little more. But they are redacted, which is fine. The faces, I mean, that's all there's not an issue, with the redactions that are taking place that are the ones that the law stated. So I haven't, the ones that I viewed, I haven't seen where there was extra redactions.
Okay.
So we still would be able to review it and come up with our own findings and conclusions. I'll just, but that's just been a one or two that I've seen.
Okay.
If we certainly can in that meeting push to implement anything that's agreed to.
Okay.
That if they agree, we are entitled to certain records, there's no reason to wait for the first MOU negotiation to go through that.
Right.
They may need to talk to their client, but we would certainly ask for that.
Absolutely, and I would be surprised if there was pushback on that. That hasn't been the tone.
Okay.
It's more so just that we haven't gotten in the same room and decided it.
Okay. All right. And we did talk a little bit about this with the mayor because we had a couple of items on our agenda, and MOU negotiations is a great concern of his because we want them to go really well. And so I think I'm hoping that you all will be able to get the work done in a way where we can get out of that backlog as quickly as possible. Because I think what we don't want to see is where we were, a while ago, and kind of starting off on a bad note. And so, meaning just behind. So the quicker we can get those records, I think we can kind of dig out of that hole.
So what he's really saying to you, it is on his radar, but it doesn't necessarily mean speedy response. It means that he's working on it, but he's not neglecting us, more or less. He's responding to us, but not necessarily in a speedy response. He's not putting no time frame on it. He's not committing himself. He's not putting himself in a corner.
Well, Director Dietz has been responsive, and I take it as a great sign. We staked a flag on August 6th to sit down, to get in the same room. I mean, these issues, from my perspective, have definitely been taken seriously by Metro Legal, and we all, I believe, hopefully Metro Legal as well, wishes we were things were moving faster, And I don't. And I told Director Dietz this, I don't want this preliminary or ancillary side issue to hold up negotiation. It's easy to group it all and say, as we heard earlier in this meeting, oh, that's something that will be negotiated. It's not. It's something that there is not compliance with the act as it's written right now. So we're not going to allow, I don't think it would be prudent for us to make that all one issue to be addressed, you know, in the rounds of negotiation. We have to agree to the interpretation, and then once we make that agreement, I think we can address very quickly anything that falls under this that we've agreed to. Let's right now get it, and that's what we intend to do.
Agree to agree. I believe it when I see it. You got to prove me. I'm from Missouri. I'm from the Show Me State. So, but thank you for your work that you're doing.
Thank you. We hope to prove your concerns unfounded, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, I think, you know, from our meeting on Friday, this is a top priority for not only the Community Review Board, but also for the mayor's office. And so we talked, you know, about this, and everyone is aware of where we are. And I have one question. So has MNPD seen the draft MOU?
I don't know. I know that Cynthia Gross and Wally Dietz have.
Okay.
That was supplied on June 14th.
Okay. Okay. So as far as we
I
know,
don't want to speak to what their client has seen or hasn't seen.
okay. So as far as we know, MNPD hasn't seen the
Well,
MOU.
Attorney Eke might be able to weigh in on that.
No, I'm sorry, I do not know,
Okay,
because I am not involved in these MOU negotiations.
right. Well, there have been no negotiations.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So
these
it's-
matters, I'm just not involved in these MOU matters, because the board has you, and then
Right.
MNPD has its own attorney, so all has, so I'm not involved in what's going on.
So MNPD, they have their own attorney, and it's not MNPD.
No, let me
it's
just
not
say this.
Metropolitan?
All I know is that you have your own attorney. I am not involved in these MOU matters, so I really cannot comment on something I'm not involved in,
Fair.
and that's really the only thing I can say. Yeah, you have your own attorney that's advising you on MOU matters. I
And
am
just for
not, so-
clarification, when you say MNPD has their own attorney,
Disregard what I said.
Okay.
I am not involved in these matters.
Okay.
MOU matters between the board and MNPD. So I really cannot speak on that.
okay.
Thanks.
Generally, when we talk about a client seeing something, if it has been supplied to council, which it has been,
Okay.
it's presumed that the client
Okay.
has it. If council's done their job,
Okay.
so I don't think, I think that we're dealing with excellent lawyers on the other side.
Okay.
I'm sure
That they've.
we can, the draft is been shared.
Okay.
And that is kind of what we can say with certainty, and then I think it's fair to presume they're fully aware of it.
Okay. Okay. Can we have someone, since Attorney Eke is not involved in any MOU matters, can we have someone find out if MNPD has their own outside counsel?
I'm happy to have a discussion with
Okay.
Metro Legal about that. I mean,
Okay.
Did Wally say Wally say Cindy Gross would be in our August 6th meeting?
he did, and she was included in the email
Yeah,
chain.
from that, I would assume Cindy
It's
Gross
just Cindy
is.
Gross.
It'll be the one that's representing
So they're
MNPD.
regular representative, legal
Right,
representative.
right.
Yep, from Metro.
From Metro Legal.
There was some confusion related to them having outside counsel.
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah, I did not say that.
I didn't say you
Just to be
said it.
clear.
Yes. No, I didn't.
That's not
interpret
what I did
No,
not.
I'm not
interpret.
saying about you saying that. It was in an earlier discussion.
it. Yes, and I have no reason to believe that
Okay.
exists.
Okay.
And I guess I'm happy to clarify.
Yeah, I think
That's fine.
we probably. I can't remember where I heard that from, or did I see it somewhere?
It might have been in I think it was in a media release or something.
Oh, it was in a
news
media release.
article or something.
Okay, and so that's
a
where I
quote.
wanted to gain some clarity.
Okay.
So, we can really kind of map out what's ahead of us, especially in the MOU negotiations when they start. So you all can be really prepared for, some good negotiations.
Well, I will say that the tone of my conversations has been very agreeable. We're all working toward the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
So I would be surprised to learn that there was some council that we hadn't been dealing with.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
But
great.
I will confirm.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? MOU Chair, do you have anything you'd like to share?
No, you got a good lawyer.
That we do. That we do. Next, new business announcements. Do we have anything?
Do you? Okay. Oh, I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, can I? The director of law just confirmed that MMPD has a draft copy.
Yeah.
Okay, they have
They
it.
do.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, thank you, Wiley.
Draft
Director
copy
Dees.
of the draft of the MOU.
Absolutely.
Thank you
June
so much.
14th.
All right, we know one person is watching. So back to you, Director Fitchard.
Yes, so we do have an update regarding, and this will be, I'll talk about this in my executive director's report, but the building where we're moving should be ready on around the 15th of the month of August.
Okay.
We did have, I don't know, there was we had a significant loss from Metro government where unfortunately, the lady that was working with us, the interior designer, was involved in a fatal car accident. And so, it was a big loss to our team as well as to Metro. She worked with us building out the first COB and was working with us on this. And so someone else has stepped in, and so I'm trying to work with her. But things are moving along pretty
Okay.
well. We went over yesterday to view the property. There was some small things that needed to be changed, but they made some changes that I didn't know about. So we worked through those things, and it looks like everything will be ready. They gave me a date today around the timeline will be about the 15th of the month, that they'll be ready to have the location. I'm sorry, that the location will be ready.
Right.
But then the move is a whole nother process.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So
so-
it's just the location that'll be ready mid-month in August, and
Yeah.
then you'll have to plan with the
With the lady that's the replacement, General Services.
general services. That's
Yeah,
it.
General Services, I'm sure that they're going to start that process probably first part of the month of
Okay.
August, so that we can, because we're going to hire movers. But the other thing is, they have been to the office, some of the people from General Services to kind of talk about, the putting in the Wi-Fi, all these different
Okay,
things.
okay.
And so we may end up working from home for a week or a few days while they get that stuff in. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But the goal is to have everyone in by my birthday. No, I'm just kidding. By August the 29th. And Michael Jackson's birthday. But anyway, the king of pop. So hopefully that will be happening. And if not by the end of August, I'm sure like the first week of September, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we'll play a lot of Michael Jackson, piping through, But I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right, that sounds great.
party.
Okay. So that's good news.
It's good news. We're excited.
Yeah, it is. That's good news. So we'll be moving from our current location just down the street and around
Block
the corner.
away.
Right, a block away.
But on a really good block.
Yeah.
Fourth
Busy
and
block.
Church.
Right.
Yeah,
Easier to get to.
it is. It is.
Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? No, we do not. Okay, we don't have
No,
anyone
we did
signed up. Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else that I'm? All right. Can I have a? On Monday, we have a board meeting at 5:00. This coming Monday, the 22nd, in the Sunny West Room. Right?
The Howard School Building.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sounds good. If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. Thank you. We're adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.